Good afternoon, welcome to Rundlii Gaming. We're going to be doing another video. This one will be on the game of Machi Koro. This is actually the deluxe edition. So this will come with 2 expansions, so I did not actually separate it. So the game you're going to be seeing is the deluxe edition with everything in it. So the game itself is kind of a similar, it's kind of a little bit of a blend between like Dominion meets Catan of sorts. What you're going to be doing is trying to build your entire place of Machi Koro. In this case, you have to build a harbor, a train station, a shopping mall, amusement park, radio tower, and an airport. And then once you have all 6 constructed, at that point you'll win the game. So that's your overall goal on here. And as you proceed through the game, you're going to continue developing other buildings within it as well. That may not be part of your landmarks themselves. And as you build these, they give you additional benefits throughout the game. And you're going to see that they're different colors as well. And a lot of that has to do with different timing. So different buildings will trigger at different times. We'll kind of go over that as well. You'll also have some money tokens. So you'll have the 1, 5, 10, 20. And then you'll have some of these reconstruction ones. Which those don't come up a lot, but they do, have little things on the card that might specify, putting a reconstruction token on this, which usually just kind of delays buildings a little bit. So like, for example, if you have a reconstruction token on it, when you go to remove it, those get removed during triggers, which we'll explain that as well. So at the start of the game, you're only going to be rolling 1d6, so one of these 6-siders. And later on you can go to 2d6 if you choose to do so. And that'll be part of the landmarks here. Also at the beginning of the game you will start with 3 of these coins, and that'll go to each player here. And then, as I said, you will start with your 6 landmarks. You will start with 1 wheat field, you'll start with 1 bakery. And we're going to kind of go over the different triggers here. The first cards that we're going to talk about are the red cards. These are what they call attack cards, and they are the first thing to trigger it on a turn. So let's say if I were to have rolled a 7, in that particular case, it would have triggered this attack card first, and then afterwards it triggered blue cards and green cards. Those will be in the same phase, usually because those don't do any kind of like damage or anything. So you'll trigger blue and green together, and then purple is the very last thing to trigger. Red usually trigger on anyone's turn. So like let's say if my opponent currently has this and I roll a 7, in the case of this particular card here, you'll get 1 coin from player who rolled the die. So in this case, if I rolled a 7, I have to pay the person that has this red card here. A lot of the blue cards, in this case if I roll a 1, and that would be a total of 1, not a 1 on one of the 2 dice, but a total of 1. You get 1 coin from the bank on anyone's turn. Now the blue cards generally will always be on anyone's turn, whereas the green cards will be only on your turn. For example, we have this bakery, and the bakery, you get 1 coin from the bank on your turn only, but this is a roll of a 2 or a 3. So with a 2 or a 3 you could actually get this one as well. Then as you start to try to build up your city here, you can then make purchases off the money here, either to construct, you get to construct 1 building per round, whether that be off of your landmarks, or you can construct one of the buildings here. So let's say if I wanted to build this landmark for here, the harbor, I would just flip it over, now I have access to this one as well. Or same thing with train station, etc. Now, as far as the card itself goes, the number up top will be the trigger number. This is the number that needs to be rolled for this to occur. You have the text on the bottom here. It's going to specify what it does. So, depending on what kind of ability it has, you'll trigger whatever that does. And then there's a cost at the bottom. In this case, it says 5 gold. So in order to buy this card, I need to pay 5. Some of these will also have symbols on it. Like this one here is like a coffee cup, and in some cases you'll have cards that kind of work well with other coffee cups. A good example of that would be the shopping mall, which is one of your landmarks. With the shopping mall, each of your coffee cups and each of your bakery type symbols are going to give you an additional coin. So this will make it a little bit better to have those. And then some will give you other benefits, like the ranches. I think there's some sort of like a slaughterhouse or something like that. And whenever that gets triggered, you get money for every of those on there. You have the fruit and vegetable market. Those trigger for every kind of wheat icon you have. So as I did mention, the blue, they trigger during anyone's turn. So, if you roll a 10, or if anyone rolls a 10, you'll get money off this one. The greens always trigger during only your turn. The red triggers on anyone's turn. Usually it's an opponent because you can't usually hurt yourself with that. But these will trigger during any opponent's turn. The purple normally will only trigger on your turn. I don't know of any that actually trigger during anyone's turn. But the good thing about the purple buildings is they do trigger at the end of the turn, because it is red first, blue and green, then purple. So in some circumstances, the purples can still steal money from people, but it happens at the end of it. So we're going to kind of go over a few rounds here as far as how the game itself plays, and kind of work from there. So as I mentioned, I'll get to roll a dice first, and since I can only do 1d6 until I get this train station, the train station says you may roll 1 or 2 dice. It's up to you at that point, once you have that. So in this case, I rolled a 4. The only thing that I can trigger off of is a 1, 2, or 3. At which point, now I can do a purchase. So let's say if I want to purchase this ranch here. Actually, we'll buy the wheat field here. So this will cost me 1 money. And then I can just go ahead and put it with my other wheat field here. And whenever you have a gap on here, you're going to continue filling it until you no longer have a gap. Another thing to consider too is if you have duplicates, they go on the stack together. So you'll actually put this one on top of the other, and then you go ahead and draw another card. And you should always have 10 different cards out here. Now my opponent is going to go ahead and roll the dice as well. Now they rolled a 5, so nothing helps them there. Let's say they're going to build this ranch. And I'll roll for myself. 5, I still can't do anything. I go ahead and build a landmark. So I'm going to get this harbor. And the reason I got the harbor is in order to get this sushi bar. It does say that it requires a harbor on it. So we'll go ahead and go for the opponent. Now they rolled a 1. Because they rolled a 1, this will trigger their wheat field. They're going to get a coin. I have 2 wheat fields, so I'm going to get 2 coins. I also did forget to give a city hall to each character too. Or each person. The city hall is I wouldn't really call it a landmark necessarily, but I guess it does count as a landmark. But what the city hall does is at the beginning of your turn, if you have no money, you'll get a free coin. So it just kind of gives you a little bit of money at the start of each round. It kind of gives you the ability to buy one-cost things at some point. So now if you have money in your account, you will not get anything from City Hall. It's only if you have 0 at the beginning of the round. So that was them. So they can go ahead and buy, let's say they're going to buy another range. Then back to my turn. I rolled a 5, so nothing occurs. And this is going to keep going back and forth. Oh yeah, we're supposed to restock this as well. And we're going to keep going back and forth until you finish constructing all 6 buildings. So it's a pretty simplistic and straightforward game. And now, as I said, you're going to continue expanding your location here. Because right now, if he rolls a 2, he triggers 3 different places. So he'll make 3 money every time he rolls a 2. And if I roll a 2, he only gets 2, but he gets his other one if it's during his turn. Now you could construct a bunch of stuff that's like everything on 1 to 6, or you can expand up to some of the higher number stuff, and a lot of times those have bigger things involved with it, as far as their different abilities, which is pretty nice about it. Some of them will usually work well with other cards, just depending on what kind of stuff you have involved with it. So it's kind of like building up your Machi Koro and then trying to make it as efficient as possible in order to build all 6 of these. And as I said, once all 6 are built, then the game itself is done. Depending on how many landmarks you play with, because I believe if you play strictly the base set, I think you only have 4. Because I think it gets rid of the harbor. I think it also gets rid of the airport, if I remember correctly. I could be a little late. You're looking at about an hour or so as far as gameplay goes. So it does play relatively quick, very easy to teach anyone, and pretty quick to learn as well. Because as I said, all you have to do is look at what numbers you have, roll a dice. If you hit those numbers, you gain money or you gain abilities depending on what card it is. And then you continue on until you're able to purchase all your stuff on there. You also get 1 buy per round. Remember to always restock it. There can only be 1 of each type of card per stack. So like let's say if the sushi bar goes, again you'll restock it again. If there were a flower shop out here, you would put this card on top of it. But yeah, that's pretty much all of Machi Koro. So if you did enjoy this video, definitely like and subscribe if you haven't already. We'll have another video posted next week. Otherwise, thank you for watching Rundlii Gaming. You have a good day.